Lesson 6. Stonehenge, the Facts and Mysteries. Part 1. Where is Stonehenge and when was it made? All over the world, many historical mysteries have been left to us by the ancient world. One of those mysteries is Stonehenge, which was built in southern England some 4,500 years ago. It is a circle of standing stones. Most of the stones making up Stonehenge weigh as much as 4 tons each. Researchers say that they were carried about 400 kilometers from the Preseli Mountains in Wales. Why did ancient people carry these heavy stones such a long distance in a time when there were no wheels? What did they use this tremendous monument for? We knew almost nothing about these things. Recently, however, researchers have been trying to explain Stonehenge in a new light. Dr. Mike Parker Pearson, an archaeologist in England, is one of them. Let's look at his interesting ideas and how he came up with them. Part 2. What are the 2 sites explained in this part? To the north of Stonehenge, there is a strange site called the Cursus. It is the remains of a ditch about 3 kilometers long. Hundreds of graves have been found in the field to the south of the Cursus, but few to the north. This led Dr. Pearson to think that the Cursus might be a kind of border. It was natural that he decided to study the northern area. Dr. Pearson focused his attention on Durrington Walls, a site which lies about 3 kilometers northeast of Stonehenge. The remains there show that there used to be circles just like that at Stonehenge. They are called the wood circles because they were made up of wood columns. As a result of Dr. Pearson's study, hundreds of remains of houses and large amounts of pottery and animal bones have been found at Durrington Walls. This fact suggests that this site was used as a place for eating and drinking. Strangely, however, no tools for farming and almost no human remains have been found there. Dr. Pearson thinks this is because those houses were lived in only at certain periods of the year. Part 3. Who were the wood circles and Stonehenge for? Stonehenge is connected to the River Avon by an approach called an avenue. So Dr. Pearson thought that there should be another avenue leading from Durrington Walls to the Avon. He kept on searching in the area and at last found it. From his study, he has developed the following new theory. The wood circles and Stonehenge were not independent of each other. Instead, they were twin monuments. The wood circles were for the living, while Stonehenge was for the dead. Ancient people used wood, which would in time decay and return to the earth, to represent the living. On the other hand, stone, which would never decay, stood not only for bones, but also for the eternity of ancestors who would never be forgotten. The border that divided the 2 worlds was the Cursus. The world for the living was to the north of the Cursus, while the world for the dead was to the south. The 2 sites were connected to each other by the avenues and the River Avon. Part 4. When in the year did 2 events take place? If Dr. Pearson's theory is right, We can imagine that the following events took place every year. On the summer solstice, when the day is the longest of the year, ancient people visited Stonehenge. There they waited for the sunrise, remembering their ancestors. After the sun had risen, they walked along the avenues and the Avon to Dorrington Walls. There they waited for the sunset, holding a feast at the wood circles, the place for the living. On the winter solstice, they welcomed the sunrise at the wood circles and watched the sun go down at Stonehenge in the evening. The sun, which controls all of life, marked the border between life and death. What drove ancient people to do these things? Perhaps it was strong respect and gratitude both for their ancestors who had brought them into the world and for the sun, which supports every living thing on earth. These are part of Dr. Pearson's ideas on Stonehenge. There are still some mysteries about Stonehenge and the surrounding areas. Researchers keep on studying them, trying to make new discoveries. Stonehenge will surely fascinate us for a long time into the future.